What's up, everybody? You are very, very welcome along to Thursday night's late night agenda. And as always the case, we have an awful lot of stuff to get through tonight. Now, let me start off with a bit of breaking news about how old I'm getting. I stood up last night. Just stood up off the sofa like a normal dude, and my back went completely into spasm, and I turned around and said to myself, with nobody else in the room, "You're getting old, fella, you're getting old." And I definitely am, because I've been sitting with a heat pack on it all day today, ladies and gents. But look, we've a load of stuff to get through. I'm sure you're wondering about the thumbnail. I'm sure you're wondering about the stream title. We'll talk about the new home kit. We'll talk about the Spirit of Shankly stuff as well, and anything else that you guys want to go through. And I will, of course, give you explanations for everything about TIELEMANS and all of that stuff as well. So, firstly, I hope that you're all well. I hope that you're having a cracking day. I hope that everybody's safe and good. My day has been alright, mate. Bit of pain with the back, but other than that, I can't complain. Brad, thank you, my man. Cave, always nice to see you in as well. Louis, lovely to see you. Nat Phillips equals the goal. What a man he is, by the way. So happy for Nat that he got his goal last night. It's no more than he deserves, but it was also lovely to hear Nat come out and say that he got as much enjoyment, if not maybe more enjoyment, from the goal line clearance, which was at a very important point in the game. So completely get where he's coming from, but his job's to keep clean sheets, as he says, and he's done that, so fair play to him. It was a great night all around last night. Great to get the 3 points. Great to put it all back in our own hands, and we know what we have to do against Palace at the weekend. Any news on Musialowski? Nothing that I've seen, Sean, my man, no. What do you want to start with tonight, ladies and gentlemen? You want to go with TIELEMANS? You want to go with the MBAPPE stuff? You want to talk about the shirt? Or you want to talk about the board seat for the Spirit of Shankly stuff? We can go through whatever you guys want. It was good to see Oxlade-Chamberlain score as well, Tracy. Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree with you. It was nice to see him score. Right, what have we got? TIELEMANS, Mbappe, and TIELEMANS, Mbappe, Mbappe, TIELEMANS. I think we're a split camp. You know, we'll do both of them first, ladies and gentlemen. Why not? Look, let's start off with the Youri Tielemans stuff, because a lot of people have been asking me about Youri Tielemans over the last while, and my answer has always kind of been the same. He's a good player, there's no doubt about that, but I'm always dubious when we're linked with players from other Premier League clubs, particularly clubs like Leicester, who are looking to challenge for European places. Now, this latest link stems from Barca Universal, and this is basically where it comes from. So it said, not only could Liverpool take what a long time looked like Leicester City's Champions League place, they could also take Youri Tielemans, according to reports. The Belgian netted a spectacular long-range strike against Chelsea on Saturday to ensure that the Foxes lift the trophy for the first time in the 137-year history. Barca Universal also now cites Calcio Mercato as claiming that Liverpool are set to be locked in a transfer battle this summer to land the 24-year-old midfielder. The Reds could be in the market for a replacement for Gini Wijnaldum, who's out of contract at Anfield, and Tielemans looked like a class act who was already experienced in the Premier League. Now, a couple of things on this one. One, I've got no idea if this is true or it's just made up for clicks by the site in question. Youri Tielemans is certainly a very tidy footballer. I think we'll all agree on that one. Now, honestly, I think there's probably better value to be had elsewhere than going to a Premier League rival, and particularly a club like Leicester City, who aren't pushed around in the transfer market. We know how good their owners are, and we know what way they want to push forward. And seeing Barcelona linked with them really did make me think, because one, we know Barcelona are up shit creek at the minute, as are Real Madrid financially. There's been talk that Real Madrid might have to offload as many as 7 players to even contemplate putting in a bid for Kylian Mbappe, who we'll get on to in a few minutes. So Youri Tielemans, look, I don't think Liverpool will go in and pay what I would imagine would be 60 million plus for Tielemans. And when you're dealing with another Premier League rival, you're going to pay an additional premium, and you're going to have to pay an astronomical amount of money. So I genuinely don't think that there's much truth to the Tielemans stuff. Now, if there is truth to it, I can understand it. He's a tidy footballer. As the article mentions, he is a class act, and 24 years of age. He's in the right age bracket. And I don't know what his thought process is about Leicester City, and I don't know if they miss out on Champions League, will he look to move on? Only himself as representative in Leicester City would know that. But I don't see it. I just don't see it personally. When you look at it, there's better options there. Basuma, as an example. We've also been linked with Rodrigo de Paul, and I told you guys about AC Milan's interest in that. That seems to be flip-flopping a little bit. 1 minute they're not interested in him, and then today I read that AC Milan are looking to potentially offer a young player in part exchange for Rodrigo de Paul with Udinese. So we'll keep an eye on that situation as well. The Basuma thing, I think a few Premier League clubs have been linked with Yves Basuma, and I'm sure clubs around Europe will also be interested in him because, again, he's quite a tidy footballer. Craig, would you swap Keita and Cash for Yuri? Now, you see, that's a very good point, mate, because we have also seen a link to Naby Keita with Crystal Palace, Leicester City and a couple of other clubs. And again, I'm not going to try and second guess what Jurgen Klopp wants to do with Naby Keita, but if there is truth, and it's a big if there is truth in both of those, so if there is truth that Liverpool would like Tielemans and that Leicester would like Keita, I mean, there would certainly be a conversation that I wouldn't mind the club having. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but, you know, this transfer window may see clubs try to be a bit more creative in the way they go about signings, because money will be at a premium, of course, with clubs still recovering from the global pandemic and the impact that has had on clubs' finances. So, yeah, keep an eye on it, is all I'm going to say. I mean, if it was a straight cash deal for Youri Tielemans, I can't see us paying what it would take. You know, you're losing Genie, you're not going to get a penny for him. Yes, you will free up his wages, but you're still going to have to put out an extremely high amount of money. So let's just play devil's advocate here and say Youri Tielemans costs between 50 and 60 million. Then you've got Kanade coming in, that's another 40 odd. So you're committing 100 million quid there in two players. And it doesn't seem like the way we go about our business, really, does it? You know, if you're bringing in a Van Dijk or an Alisson, a glaring hole in your squad that's cost you previous years, then, you know, you understood why we paid so much for Alisson, why we paid so much for Van Dijk. And, of course, we had that Felipe Coutinho money as well. Thoughts on Bobby's wife being pregnant? Well, you know, that's a private matter for Bobby and his missus, but congratulations to them, of course. I mean, always good to hear good news. Terry said Ward-Prowse. Again, I spoke to you guys the other day, and I think it was Garth Crooks, formerly of the BBC, or maybe still is at the BBC, I'm not sure, who spoke that like he seems like a Liverpool player, James Ward-Prowse, and I would agree. I think James Ward-Prowse would be an excellent addition. Very technically good, great from a set piece. Always got that determination to improve. You've seen since Ralph Hasenhüttl came into Southampton how he has upped his game and upped his, I won't say his commitment because that would be unfair on the lad, but he's certainly come on leaps and bounds. So yeah, Ward-Prowse for me, I have no issues with James Ward-Prowse. I still haven't sold on Youri Tielemans. I don't know if it's just me and if I'm being a bit pig-headed on this, but I watch him fair bit, and sometimes I watch him and I go, yeah, I see it, I see absolutely what everybody sees in him, and then other times I watch him and I think, I don't know, do you know, is he a bit soft in the middle? Yeah, soft. It's tough to pick. Not pick, like I say pick like I've got some chance to sort this out. Tielemans is class, said Brendan O'Brien. I suppose, look, it's all about opinions, mate. My opinion is that I don't think Liverpool will go and try and buy Youri Tielemans this summer. Unless maybe, like the gentleman suggested earlier on, that there was a potential part exchange there for maybe somebody like Naby Keita. But, you know, that's all kind of speculation, really, only, isn't it? What next for Kabak? Right, let's go with that. It looks like, and again, this is very broad, but it looks like Kabak won't be a Liverpool player next season if most of the reports that I'm seeing, and I'm sure you guys are probably seeing as well, are to be believed. It seems that that Ozan Kabak, I won't say he blew his chances because that's unfair, he's picked up an injury, but I wonder maybe if Liverpool are looking and thinking, and you know, maybe they're going to think, right, we'll get Kanade in, we'll have Van Dijk, we'll have Gomez, we'll have Matip. And I wonder then, will they go and keep Nat Phillips? Because, you know, the more I hear Jurgen Klopp speaking about Nat Phillips, about his story, about his background, about his commitment, I'm wondering if Nat's willing to maybe stay and be a backup, then maybe we'll see Nat Phillips stay at the club. I don't know. I mean, he's already our player. I think he's got 2 years left on his Liverpool contract. And, I mean, I've no problems with Nat Phillips being there as a fourth or fifth choice centre-back. I'm surprised we haven't been linked with Odegaard. We have been linked with him, mate. I I don't think Arsenal have first refusal or anything on Martin Odegaard, nor do I know what Real Madrid's plans are for Martin Odegaard, but I have seen a figure of about 40 million being thrown around, and I've also seen our names being linked with him in a couple of articles. But it is silly season as well at the end of the day. We've got to keep that in mind. Loads of sites are going to be trying to drive content, drive clicks, and there will be some rather out there stories put out, shall we say. Now look, let's move on to Kylian Mbappe, because I know a lot of people are going to wonder about this as well. And again, there's been another piece out today, and this piece comes from France. So let me just pull it up here on my phone, and I'll give you guys the latest on that one. So this states that Kylian Mbappe can see himself playing for Liverpool only if they achieve Champions League qualification. Mbappe is now very tempted to leave Paris Saint-Germain, and that comes out of La Parisienne in France. Now, there's still the little matter of how on earth do we afford Kylian Mbappe, and look, I haven't got the answers on that one, my friends. But what I will say is, to those people that are so convinced that he'll end up at Real Madrid, he may well do. I can't see the future, but you also have to look at the fact that Zinedine Zidane's future at Real Madrid is far from secure. He doesn't know what's going to happen there, and one of the big draws for Kylian Mbappe, apart from the fact Madrid are a huge club, is that he would get to play under his idol, who is Zinedine Zidane. So if Zinedine Zidane leaves the job, then, you know, will the same appeal be there for Mbappe? And how on earth, like us, will Real Madrid afford that deal? I want to also remind you of the long-standing interest that John W. Henry and FSG have in Kylian Mbappe that goes right back to when he was playing for Monaco before he moved to PSG. They tried to convince him to come to Liverpool then. Obviously didn't work out. He went to PSG, has continuously improved. I think this season, I could be wrong on this, but I'm working off the back of my brain somewhere. I think he has something like 41 goals and 10 assists for Paris Saint-Germain, which is a pretty damn tidy number. And, you know, with 1 year left on his contract, what do PSG do? If he's not going to extend, they have to sell him. They're not going to let somebody like Kylian Mbappe leave on a free. Even a club with the financial depth of Paris Saint-Germain would know that that's just absolute stupidity. But at the same time, Kylian Mbappe will have to be convinced that whether it be Liverpool or Real Madrid or Barcelona or whoever it is, he'll have to be convinced by a couple of things. The sporting project on offer, the financial package, of course, which will be rather significant, I've no doubt about that. But he'll also want to make sure that there'll be stability at the club he's going to, that the manager will be there for the next 3-4 years. And can we say that about Real Madrid? Honestly. Now, I'm not saying to you guys, Kylian Mbappe is coming to Liverpool. It's still probably pie in the sky and stuff that we can maybe dream about. But just seriously, think about it in the cold light of day. Even if Madrid can afford him, the lure of playing in front of Anfield would have to be appealing to him. He's already spoken about his admiration for Klopp. He's already spoken about how he enjoys Liverpool, how he plays with them on FIFA. And if by some miracle, and it would be a miracle, the club can find a financial solution, I honestly think he'd come. I really do. Now, I'm not saying he is coming, but I think if we can find a way to make the numbers add up, which is a big ask, it's a very big ask, I think he'd come, you know. I really, really do think he'd come. Can we loan Nico Williams? As a Welsh fan, I like Nico, but want him loan. Oh, mate, that's not a question for me. I mean, I understand you want the best for a Welsh player, but I don't know what Jurgen Klopp's plans are for Nico Williams. I mean, I kind of got myself into the mindset a few weeks ago that we'll probably be in the Europa League, and that might allow Nico Williams, Harvey Elliott, and some of the younger players to start getting more minutes under their belt. But if it looks like we manage to get away into the Champions League, which, you know, touch wood and all that, then it is an interesting question about what happens with Nico. Will Klopp want to send him on loan? But if so, we'll probably have to go into the market for another fullback, and that doesn't really make much sense if the club think that Nico Williams can do a job long term. So I'd imagine we'll see him in pre-season, we'll see him at the training camps, and I don't know after that. I honestly don't. I wish I had more info on it, but I'd be lying to you if I told you anything else. I don't think we can afford his wages, to be honest. Somebody said, your title is hilarious. It's not our title, mate. It's a stated fact from an article. It's not something I just pulled out of my arse, mate. I don't just make up things and go, here you go, every single title, every single stream, every single thumbnail that we speak about, I back it up with an article that talks about it and we have a conversation. That's the way this stream goes, mate. So I don't know if you're new to it, if you're just trying to be a bit of a smart arse, but either way, I back up everything I say with articles. I don't just pull stuff out of my backside. Mane and 50 million for MBAPPE, says Quinch. Again, it's just random pie in the sky guesswork, isn't it, from all of us? I mean, Craig, would you swap Salah for MBAPPE? I would, yeah. I'm not going to lie, I would. I would swap Salah for MBAPPE. I don't want to lose Mohamed Salah. I want Mohamed Salah to be a Liverpool footballer. I want the club to sit down and extend his contract. We've seen the goals and how important they are to us. But yeah, I would. I won't lie to you. I would sell Salah for MBAPPE because I think MBAPPE is somebody who could secure place at the top table for a very long time and somebody who will probably win multiple Ballon d'Ors. So yeah, in that unlikely scenario, I would, but I still don't want Mo to go, and I know you guys don't as well. Who would? He's an absolute phenom. He's brilliant. Right, so people want to talk about the kit a little bit as well. Look, we did a review on the kit a while ago. The kit was, more images of it out today. Van Dijk wearing it. We'll probably do a full review of it, once we see it in person as well. But for me, not my favourite. I don't understand the orange. I don't get it. The green on the back of the collar and the orange and the red. It doesn't do it for me personally. But, I understand that football fans have different things. And, I try and look at it that as long as there's one kit from the 3 each season that I like, I'll buy that one. And it's not looking like for me I'll buy the home one. I'm not a fan of it personally, but each to their own, I suppose. We'll wait and see what happens. I mean, it'd be nice to see it in person, see more detail. What do I think about Harvey Barnes? I think he's a cracking player, and that would be a link from Leicester to me that I think would make more sense than Tielemans. Now, I'm not saying they're the same type of player or anything, but if you were to look at Leicester for a player, and going back from articles over the last few months as well, it seems that Jurgen Klopp is an admirer of Harvey Barnes. And you can see why. He's a very, very tidy footballer. I know he's been hampered by some injuries, but yeah, I do like him. Naldini starting with VVD. Actually, do you know what? Let's ask that in the chat right now, folks. What do you want to happen with Nat Phillips? Do you want him to stay at the club next season? Or would you like if we brought in Kanade? Do you think Nat Phillips would move on? I'm genuinely intrigued to find this one out. Mick says the kit is overpriced. $85.99 for kids. When you say kids, mate, what age group? Because I remember last season was the last year I think my son would have fit in the whole kit, and I think if my memory's right, mate, God, my memory usually isn't, to be fair. I think it was probably about £60 for the kit for my young lad, and he would have been in, I think, 7 to 8 if my memory's right. What about Marlon? We need squad depth. I haven't really I've looked into him, obviously, because we've had a conversation about it on here, and I've asked a few people, but there's nobody that can really confirm to me that Liverpool really do hold an interest in Daniel Marlon. Obviously, there's been articles written about it, and there have been links to him, but I'm yet to speak to anybody who can back up and confirm that we're interested in him. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not true. It just means I don't have any information on it. Nat is an absolute legend. Stay. Third choice. I'm a bit lame. If we bring in Kanade and we've got Gomez and Van Dijk, surely, as good as Nat has been and all, surely we're not having a conversation here where we're saying Nat Phillips is going to go ahead of Gomez, Van Dijk or Kanade in the pecking order. If all are fit and available, surely he'd be fourth. He's a great defender. I think we're exaggerating a little bit here with the words great. He's a good defender who is improving, but let's not get carried away. I mean, let's be fair about it. He is improving and he has done great, and we are very grateful to him. But I mean, he's not up there with the Diaz's, the Van Dijks of this world. Phillips' 20-year contract extension. What about Patson Daka as a striker? Excellent striker, Fidel. Again, I spoke to you guys last week, I think it was, that Jesse Marsch, who was the Salzburg manager and manages Patson Daka at present, is going to take over from Julian Nagelsmann at Leipzig at the end of the season. Nagelsmann obviously going to Bayern Munich. And from what I've read, it seems that he wants to take Patson Daka to Leipzig with him, which is a step that's been made by a lot of players over the years. They go Salzburg, Leipzig, and then potentially move on from Leipzig. So we'll keep an eye on the Patson Daka situation. He's somebody that I think we would all agree at around 25 million would probably be a risk worth taking for any club in the Premier League. I think he certainly knows where the goal is. He certainly does. And for that money, you just wonder, would we be potentially blocking a pathway for young Musialowski, or are we getting ahead of ourselves with him and putting too much pressure on him too early? Because he has come in with high expectations and he's started to deliver already at underage level. You don't want to pile the pressure on too early to anybody. So it's a very difficult balancing act when you've got somebody like Musialowski at the club. You don't want to block the pathway through by bringing in a forward who might be here for 5, 6, 7 years. But you also don't want to leave yourself short. So I think we'll bring in an attacking player this summer. Who that is, or whether that's a straight out and out number 9 or not, that remains to be seen. And I think hopefully all will become a little bit clearer over the coming weeks. Thoughts on Ansu Fati? I think he's a very good young footballer, but I don't think he'll be leaving Barcelona. What about Prowse for Minamino? Again, Jason, yes, there could. I mean, we're talking hypotheticals here, buddy, but Minamino, I don't know what Ralph Hasenhüttl's thoughts are on Taki, whether he wants him to stay at Southampton. I don't know what Liverpool's decision-making process is on Takumi Minamino. What I can say is, and I'm sure you've seen this yourselves, there have been links to La Liga for Takumi Minamino. There's even been some talk of him going back to Salzburg, although, I can't stand over that. Personally, I don't think he'll come back to Liverpool, or at least if he does come back in the summer, I don't think he'll be in the manager's plans moving forward. I don't think he's done enough at Southampton to really prove any doubters wrong. Again, though, it is only his first year in English football, really, fully, so it's difficult. Well, yeah, his first full season in English football. Ivan Toney, somebody will take a punt on him if Brentford don't come up. I mean, you don't break records in the Championship without having something about you. Again, though, the links to Liverpool, not there from what I've seen. But fair play to Brentford, by the way. I mean, they move on Ollie Watkins and then they bring in Ivan Toney and he does cracking numbers as well. So you got to give a lot of credit there to Brentford for the recruitment as well. Craig, thoughts on Dusan Vlahovic from Fiorentina? Somebody who says that his future is still open and doesn't know what it might hold, but is open to a potential move away from Fiorentina. I think he's 21 years of age and has done very good numbers this season for Fiorentina. A Fiorentina team that are nowhere near as strong as they once were. So, it could be an option, yes. I don't watch much Serie A because, quite frankly, it bores me. So, I'll have to wait for one of your opinions on Vlahovic because I haven't seen much of him. Bellingham, look, Jude Bellingham, an absolute baller of the highest order, but Dortmund have let it be known in no uncertain terms that there is no number, there is no offer that would see them sell Jude Bellingham this summer. They could lose Haaland, they could lose Sancho, they're not going to want to lose Jude Bellingham just yet, so I would say confidently that Bellingham will remain at Borussia Dortmund for next season. Would you like to buy Saint-Maximin as a replacement for Mane? I don't know about as a replacement for Mane, but would I like Saint-Maximin? Yes. I've definitely come around to him a bit more as the weeks and months have gone on. He seems a class act on and off the pitch, to be fair to him. But again, like I said about Mohamed Salah earlier on, I don't want to see Sadio Mane leaving the club either. I mean, by his own admission, he hasn't had his best season. But there's still a whole lot of talent there, and I think he will discover his best form again. So I don't want to see us moving Mane on. I don't want to see us moving Salah on. Kane will go to Manchester United. I think he'll go to Manchester City, James, personally. From the bit of digging that I've done and a few articles that are slowly making their way out into the media, I think that both Manchester clubs will probably be in for him. I think the numbers being mentioned are over 300 grand a week. Don't know what Daniel Levy will ask for, but I would suggest that he's not going to put out there that he wants to move on unless he has some concrete interest from clubs like City or United, or he wants to stay in the Premier League by all accounts. I mean, he probably has his eyes set on the goal scoring record, and he wants to be playing at the top level, playing Champions League season in, season out. And look, let's be honest about it. Any club that brings in Harry Kane is going to guarantee themselves goals, and if he's playing up front for City, it's worrying. I won't lie, it is worrying. Because I know he picks up injuries and stuff, and I know that we all have our own opinions on him, but none of us can deny what a quality player Harry Kane is. So if he does end up at either Manchester club, we got to step up our recruitment game then, because they're getting themselves one hell of a forward there. What about Sancho to Liverpool? You're not allowed to say that, mate, because United fans think they own Sancho already, so we're not allowed to talk about Jadon Sancho apparently. Even though, yes, we have been linked with him, and yes, there are many articles written about it, and yes, Jurgen Klopp is an admirer of him, and yes, I'm sure Jadon Sancho wouldn't mind coming to Anfield, but again, where do we get the money from to go and buy Sancho? It's thought that there's an agreement in place between Dortmund and the player that he'd be able to be sold for about 80 million. Where do we get 80 million from? I know, it's a headache, and I don't like sitting here saying it as well. I don't like doing what you guys are having to do and think that we're going to be another sell to buy summer with a low investment in the squad. That's not what any of us want to hear, but until it's proven otherwise, that is the norm for Liverpool. That is what we've had to get used to over the past 6, 7, 8 years. We only spend big when we bring in big money, and I hope that we're sitting here in August and we've got a superstar or two in, or a quality addition or two in, and we haven't lost anybody. That's the best case scenario, and that's what I hope happens. Red Devils, how are you, mate? Nice to see you in as always. Would I be opposed to keeping all centre-backs rotating around? Look, first of all, we've got to make sure that we secure Canade and get him over the line. Then we've got to see how Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez rehabilitation goes, and make sure that they'll be okay for a whole load of games next season. Then you've got to assess Joel Matip as well. But I think there has to be an honest conversation there around Joel Matip, because when he's available, I don't think any of us argue he's a quality player, but his availability and his injury record is not great, to say the least. And he did only sign a new contract last year at the club, if, again, my memory's correct. So, yeah, I think we need to add at least one body at centre-back. And look, if we're going to keep Nat Phillips on, fair enough. That means we'd have Nat Phillips, Van Dijk, Gomez, Matip, and Canada as options, which is more than enough, I think. 150 million for Haaland. We won't be in for Haaland, John. Liverpool won't be in for Haaland. It's not a conversation that is going to take place. They did their little tour around. Mina Raiola and his father, I think, did the little tour around England and did it around Spain as well. But there isn't one journalist that I've messaged or spoken with, or people that I know have spoken with, that believe Liverpool are going to be in for Haaland. Not one. So yeah, I think we can put that one to bed for sure. Do I think Harvey Elliott will be a contender to start next season? I hope so, yeah. I mean, he had a very good season, second half of the season with Tony Mowbray at Blackburn. He's a Red through and through, massive Liverpool fan. He's going to want to prove himself, and I think Jurgen Klopp will give him the opportunity. So yeah, I hope he comes in, and I hope he gets time, because there's one hell of a talented young footballer there. Any opinions on Chiesa from Juve? Just that I don't know if Juve want to sell him. Only moved there from Fiorentina, I think, the season before. I don't know what the situation's going to be with Cristiano Ronaldo at Juventus. Aaron Ramsey could move on, and a few other players. They've been impacted as well by the COVID pandemic, so they'll have to cut their cloth accordingly from a financial perspective. You also have to take into account that they are still under the threat of expulsion if they don't walk away from the Super League, from Serie A or relegation. Then there's the talk around, what's going to happen with the Super League, because they haven't walked away from that. Either have Barcelona or Real Madrid. So, you have to think about it from a player's perspective as well. There's a lot of uncertainty there. And I suppose the same would apply for Kylian Mbappe. If he's looking at Real Madrid now, and UEFA are potentially going to sanction, and I don't know what the outcome will be, Real Madrid for their involvement in the Super League, is that going to appeal to a player? Is he going to want to go to a club with a cloud over them? I don't know. Would I take Ramsey? No, I wouldn't. He's too injury prone. We don't need to be replacing one injury prone midfielder. If we let the likes of Chamberlain go as an example, and Naby Keita for another one. No, I wouldn't. Great footballer on his day, but not for me. Not now. Any news on Liverpool in for a backup keeper? No, nothing that I've seen, although I hope we are, because I don't rate Adrian. I'm sure you guys don't either. I mean, grateful for him for his time at the club, but I think we need to either promote Caoimhín Kelleher or go out there and bring in somebody else and loan out Caoimhín Kelleher. Who do I think Gini... Do we think Gini will get a new contract? No, I don't, Martin. I don't think... I think there's a stalemate there, mate. I don't know if it's around the length of contract. I believe it might be around... There's been an offer on the table for Gini for a good while now. And one that the club don't seem to be willing to budge on. For whatever reason. I don't know what the reason is. It would just be conjecture for me to guess at it. But it looks like he's going to move on. And the front runners are Barcelona, Inter Milan and Bayern Munich. That's all I know. Would I take Coutinho for 40 million? No, I wouldn't take Coutinho if he was a fiver, because I don't want him and his fake back injuries anywhere near Liverpool Football Club again. Sign Buffon. Jeez, he's older than me, mate. Do you know, I'm thinking of making a comeback at this point. Gigi Buffon's still going and he's, 3 years older than me? I'm continuing. I'm thinking of making a comeback at this point. Would I take Suarez on a free? I don't know. It's a tough one. 2-3 weeks ago I'd have said yeah, and then I watched them playing a bit more with Atleti and his legs are shot, but you know, I don't know. That one would a bit of nostalgia is creeping in for me on that one, but I don't know is the honest answer. Have Barca said they don't want Gini? No, but the problem there, Mick, I believe, is that the big link for him to Barcelona was, of course, Ronald Koeman, and nobody knows what's going to happen with Ronald Koeman at the end of the season. So if he gets the chop at Barcelona, you know, is that the interest in Gini Wijnaldum gone? I don't know. You know, you'd seen Gini and you'd seen Memphis Depay, both Dutch players, both linked with hooking up with Ronald Koeman at Barcelona. But if he gets the chop at the end of the season, I don't know what that means for a potential deal for maybe Gini there. Thoughts on the kit? It's very hard to judge these things properly until you see them in person up close. I wouldn't be a huge fan from what I've seen. I don't get the colour. I don't get the orange and the red. It just doesn't appeal to me. I think if it had been white around the collar and white with the little diagonal lines, it would have looked a lot better. There's a few mock-ups of it done in white instead of orange. But as I said, you want to see these things in person before you make a real call on them. But honestly, as things stand, I don't think I'll be spending my money on the home shirt. Now, some of the rumoured other shirts look quite nice. I don't like the new training gear either. I don't understand the kind of almost what's that called, Louis Vuitton style design on the front of the training kit. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not. Would I take James Ward-Prowse for 50 million? Well, I take James Ward-Prowse. The fee, I don't know about the fee, but as a player, yes. Would you take Allegri when Klopp leaves? No. I wouldn't want to watch Allegri type football at Liverpool, Shay. Great manager, but not the style of football that I'd want to see at Liverpool. Who do I want to see this summer? Said Chris Young. I want to see Canale. I want to see Yves Bissouma. I wouldn't mind Ward-Prowse if we couldn't get Bissouma. I wouldn't mind Tielemans, although I don't think it's realistic for the price it would cost. And I want to see somebody in a forward attacking position that has pace. So whether that's Rafinha, Neto, Mbappe, Sancho, I don't know. I don't know what we're working with. It's very difficult when we don't know yet if we have Champions League football and we don't know what the ramifications are if we qualify for the Champions League for our transfer window, how much money the manager might have, if qualifying for the Champions League may change the direction we take in the transfer market. I don't know. I would like to think that there's a plan A, B and C there, but the club do play their cards very close to their chest, and like we've seen with the deals that brought Fabinho and Diogo Jota in, nobody had a clue about those deals. They just came out of nowhere and just happened. So, you know, maybe we'll get a pleasant surprise like that. Maybe we'll be sitting here over the summer and all of a sudden you'll get an alert saying Anfield Agenda has gone live, and we'll jump on and we'll talk about some mad transfer that none of us seen coming. I mean, I think we all remember where we were when the news broke about Fabinho coming to the club. I certainly remember being stunned in my chair and sitting here thinking, never would have thought of that. But now, as soon as you think about it, you can think, yeah, makes a lot of sense. So let's wait and see. Iheanacho, nah, you're all right, mate. I don't rate Iheanacho, I've got to be honest. And I'll never forgive him either for the miss. Nobody will ever be able to convince me he didn't miss that on purpose. So, yeah, I'll never forgive Iheanacho for that miss. I am that petty, yes. Sancho or Mbappe? Look, Mbappe. Mbappe is obviously a better prospect than Sancho, although they're both great. Camavinga, I'd seen him linked with Arsenal actually the other day, Kenneth, which shocked me, considering I think he's leaving on a free at the end of the season, if my memory's right. And I would imagine Camavinga would have options all over Europe because he's one of the highest rated young midfielders in Europe. So I was rather shocked to see that link to Arsenal the other day, to say the least. Am I a Werner fan? Yes. I think Timo Werner's had a difficult first season at Chelsea, but I think what he says is actually true. I think everything that could have gone wrong for him has, but his work rate is still there, his belief is still there, and I think that Chelsea will end up with a very, very good player on their hands. I do rate Timo Werner, yeah. How's your day been, Craig? Sore, Cartel. I did my back last night, and yeah, I've been sitting with a heat pad on all day. It's quite sore, to be honest. Neil Kavanagh said, I'm still FSG out. Seems like the Super League is forgotten. That leads me around rather nicely, Neil, to talk about the Spirit of Shankly stuff that came out today. So there was an email sent to all Spirit of Shankly members, and I'll read it to you now in its entirety, and you guys can make up your own mind if you believe you're happy about this situation or not. What I will say is, having read an article on The Athletic from Simon Hughes about this, it is not to be underestimated the potential step that this is for Liverpool having fan representation and being able to nip in the bud the likes of this situation with the Super League if it pops up in the future. So let me just quickly read out to you guys the email that was sent out. It's circulating around anyway, so here we go. It's quite long, so strap yourselves in there. Spirit of Shankly met with representatives of Liverpool FC's board on Tuesday 18th of May 2021 to continue talks on the union's 4 requests. We can now report the outcome to be ratified by members. A supporters board is to be established and written into the club's regulations, making it a legally binding agreement. Spirit of Shankly will be head of this board. There will be a formal recognition agreement between Spirit of Shankly and Liverpool Football Club. This will become part of the club's constitution so that if/when the ownership changes, this will remain in place. Now, this is really important, folks. This part here is vital. So I'm going to read it out to you again, and just pay attention to this. There will be a formal recognition agreement between the Spirit of Shankly and Liverpool Football Club. This will become part of the club's constitution so that if and when the ownership changes, this contract will remain in place. Now, what that means is, let's say FSG sell up, the new owners will have to adhere to this because it's written into the club's constitution. So any new owners of the football club can't go and retroactively change this agreement. It is put into the club's constitution. So Spirit of Shankly and FSG will collaborate to work for the government's fan-led review to improve the future of the game. FSG will meet any cost as a result of the European Super League, not Liverpool Football Club. Again, we'd seen very quickly that other clubs, I think it was Arsenal at first, came out and said that they will bear the cost, or the Kroenke Entertainment Group will bear the cost associated with Arsenal's withdrawal from the Super League. It now seems that Liverpool's owners have given the same guarantee to Spirit of Shankly that FSG and not Liverpool Football Club will bear the costs associated with removing themselves from the Super League. A representative of the supporters board will meet annually with Liverpool's board of directors to consult on issues pertinent to fans. Outside of this, if an agreed consultation matter is to be discussed at an LFC board meeting, the chair of the supporters board will be present. Supporters board representatives will have a term of 2 years and be chosen as the result of a democratic vote. As a recognised legal body, this determines that supporters board led by Spirit of Shankly will have regular dialogue and input with LFC's board. Where's that one? Sorry, I had to change pages there. with LFC's local directorship that will directly affect us, the supporters, are made. We will have influence and the power to say yes or no. In effect, a blocking mechanism on issues that matter most to fans. So again, I'll read that line out to you. We will have influence and the power to say yes or no. In effect, a blocking mechanism on issues that matter most to fans, such as saying no to the European Super League or any future breakaway league. Unlike in Boston, where most talk around FSG business and franchises, we will have a seat where football influence is strongest. So that's a very powerful point right there. Spirit of Shankly will have an opportunity to veto any move by the club if they do try to join up to the European Super League and stuff like that again. We can lead with fan-led proposals on subjects such as ticketing, match days, diversity, and come to agreement on the outcome. Most importantly, it ensures LFC's board contractually has to consult the fans. The club's owners will confirm this in a public declaration. The details are still to be refined, but this is the basis of representation at LFC going forward. The setup of the Spirit of Shankly board means that SOS and affiliates will have access to and influence on debate with allegiance to the club, not the ownership, and a final say on a fan-led strategy. Like a union, there has to be mutual agreement before such a decision can be made. If we accept these proposals, and this will be down to our membership, we can maintain independence. After discussions of the past week, we believe this is a unique deal and recommend its acceptance. We see this as a chance to best shape the future of our club and put at the forefront of changing football in general. We're arranging an online meeting for members, hopefully at the start of next week, where this will be discussed and then put to a vote. We will forward details as soon as they are confirmed. Thank you for your continued support. Regards, Joe Blott, Chair of Spirit of Shankly. So as you can see, we might not have seen the fan-led protest that we've seen at Old Trafford and that we've seen at the Emirates and that we've seen at other clubs, but that's because Spirit of Shankly have been working really hard behind the scenes, trying to do things in the right way without disrupting the football club. Again, it's another great example of Liverpool's fans and Liverpool fan supporters groups like the Spirit of Shankly having their heads well screwed on and knowing what they're doing. So fair play to them. I think what they are on the cusp of achieving here is fantastic, and I take my hat off the Spirit of Shankly and everybody involved in those negotiations. And you have to give some credit, begrudgingly or not, to the club for listening. And if this is implemented, then that is a change, and that is a big part of our fears sorted. So, I understand people are angry, and I don't want to tell people how to feel. It's not my place to do so. But we are seeing real change. We are seeing something that matters taking place here. So, I still want to see how the transfer window goes personally, because all this is well and good, but we have to remain competitive on the pitch, which is where us as fans are most concerned. So, if this all goes through, as I'm sure it will, and if Spirit of Shankly members vote to proceed with the agreement, then I hope that we see some positive steps in the transfer market over the summer as well, and some investment in the squad, and then I think we'll all be a little bit happier. I'm not saying anyone has to forget or will forget what has happened and the sour taste that's been left in a lot of our mouths. I'm still very dubious myself about the future, and I'll never understand why FSG and John W. Henry didn't run the idea of the Super League past somebody, because they would have been told very quickly that it was going to be a non-runner, that Liverpool fans and football fans in general just wouldn't cope with no relegation, not getting somewhere in sporting merit. It's against the culture of football in Europe. So that's where we are with that. And again, I take my hat off to everybody at Spirit of Shankly and those people who have been negotiating for this behind the scenes, being able to do it in such a meaningful way and being able to do it without impacting the day-to-day running of the club and causing any disruption to the players and the manager. So, fair play. Well done to everybody concerned. Right, what else we got? Bill will be proud. Well done, Spirit of Shankly, said Martin. Yeah, I think they've tried to address everything they could. And look, it's important to remember here as well, the devil will be in the detail, but this is a very tricky negotiation, and this is a very these people in Spirit of Shankly and that, they know what they're at. They know far more than they know more than most of us as fans with regards to the proper channels, the proper way to go about things, and I think they deserve a massive massive pat on the back for what they're after doing and getting over the line. So well done, as I said, to everybody involved. And all we want is for our football club to be competitive, and we want the culture of football to be kept the same. And I think this is a step, albeit a first step, in the right direction. And nobody wants the football club to be in turmoil. Nobody wants us to be shouting and screaming at each other. Nobody wants protests. Nobody wants the owners to be pulling the wool over our eyes. But you also have to be willing to accept an apology. You look at FIFA and UEFA, and the way that UEFA have accepted Liverpool and the big six that have pulled away, accepted their apology and removal from the Super League and welcomed them back into the fold. The football club has to keep moving forward, and once bitten, twice shy, I understand. And again, I don't want to tell anybody how to feel. I'm just presenting the information, and we'll have a conversation about it and see how you guys feel. Why try and sensationalise Mbappe? I'm not trying to sensationalise jack shit, Carl. I'm reading out a fucking article, mate, with a link in it. If you want to get your little panties in a twist, fella, that's up to you. I've always said, and will continue to say, I believe the numbers stacking up for Liverpool and Kylian Mbappe are probably unrealistic. But don't dare have a go at me for something else, mate. I'm not coming on here and saying we're signing Mbappe. So rather than just reading the fucking title of the stream and having a look at the thumbnail, why not pay attention to the detail? People like you do my head in, pal. You see a thumbnail, see a stream title, and think you know fucking everything. Have a listen to what we're saying. Have a listen to the article, and then make your own mind up. But don't have a go at me, because I couldn't give a shite what you say, fella. Thoughts on news according to Anthony Stonelake? Excuse me, I hope that's right. Dortmund are indeed interested in Sadio Mane. They see him as a perfect replacement for Sancho. Again, Delwyn, thank you for your input there, buddy. And they may well be, but think about it from Sadio's position. If you're Sadio Mane, would you leave Liverpool for Dortmund? Genuinely. Dortmund are a great club. And playing in front of the yellow wall would be, I'm sure, phenomenal inside a packed stadium, but it is a step down to go from Liverpool to Borussia Dortmund, and I don't think Sadio is going to want to take a sideways / backward step in his career right now. So I don't think that's going to happen, in all honesty, but it's football, so nothing is off the table. Would I sign Jimenez from Atletico? I think that's probably the 100th time I've read your comment on that one, mate. Yes, I would. He's a very good centre-back, but it looks like Canada is going to be the one that's coming in, and I'm all for that. What have we got? Exactly, Milner will gladly pass the 7 on to Mbappe. Imagine. I'm not going to lie, when Connor sent me the link with the Mbappe earlier on, I got a bit excited for a minute. I always do when I see Liverpool linked to Mbappe, because look, it's the dream, isn't it? Would I sign Neto? I like Pedro Neto, Callum, yes. I think he's a very good footballer, and I think he's got a bit of spark about him, which I love, Pedro Neto. I don't know how you guys feel about him, but I like a bit of a schneidi git. I like somebody who's not afraid to put himself about, and yeah, Pedro Neto has that, so yeah, I like Neto, I like Rafinha, I like Sancho, I like Mbappe. I'm a sucker for a pacey wide forward. Does Mbappe want to come? You'll have to ask Kylian that, mate, but his admiration for Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp is out there. But then again, that's all very well and good saying that, but all I will say to anybody around Kylian Mbappe, whatever your opinion might be, whether it be that he's gone to Madrid, whether it be that he's gone to Barcelona, whether it be that he might come to Liverpool, Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea, whoever, ask yourself who can afford him, because the days of Real Madrid and Barcelona being the powerhouses of world football seem to be coming to an end at the minute. And Real Madrid could well lose Zidane at the end of the season. They could well have to try and get rid of a load of ageing players. It looks like they're not going to be willing to give a new contract to Sergio Ramos. So, is it an attractive proposition anymore? Hazard went there, and so far he's fallen flat on his face. And I remember when he showed up on his first day and he was doing his little keepy-uppies and stuff inside the Bernabeu. I remember seeing signs around the ground saying, "We want Mbappe." And I just thought to myself, if I was a footballer and I showed up after a €100 million transfer to the club of my dreams, and I was out there being presented to the fans, and I was doing my little tricks and stuff, and I looked up and I've seen signs saying we want Mbappe, I would just immediately think, what's the fucking point? I'm here and people are already bitching and moaning about wanting the next lad. So playing in front of any Premier League club, whether it be Liverpool, United, City, I would say that you will be treated far, far better by football fans and taken into their hearts and loved way more than you would at the likes of Real Madrid, because from what I've seen of Real Madrid fans, they are fickle as fuck. They are no problem turning on you in a heartbeat, and no problem throwing abuse at players, and no problem shouting that they want X and Y to be signed, and they seem like a bunch of spoiled brats. I've got to be honest about it. So, you know, that's my take on it. I mean, if I was a player, which of course I'm not, you know, right now under Jurgen Klopp with Van Dijk there and the talent Liverpool have, you've got to imagine that we'd be an endearing proposition to anybody, as would Manchester City, as would maybe Manchester United, as would Chelsea. But the days of Real Madrid and Barcelona being these powerhouses, I think they're coming to an end. I really do believe that the power and the financial clout is with the Premier League clubs at the minute. They even booed Ronaldo. Do you know what I mean? Like, the great Cristiano Ronaldo, a man who put up ridiculous numbers there. Real Madrid winning Champions League after Champions League after Champions League. And they booed him, as you said. The great man himself. One of the best two players of our generation. Imagine booing. Like, never happen at Liverpool. Never happen at Manchester United. Not a hope. Either of those clubs. Imagine Gerrard or Kenny Dalglish. Or King Eric Cantona if you're a United fan. Or fucking, I don't know, pick a player being booed. It just wouldn't happen. These people are idolised. Absolutely idolised in English football clubs. Yes, Craig, that's how it's been since I turned into your channel. Been busy arranging summer vacations. Lucky you, Fahim. I'm hoping for a little vacation towards the end of the year, my man. Thoughts on Nuno Mendes, left back from Sporting? The only real links I've seen lately for Sporting are the guy, is it Goncalves? Is that the guy's name? The guy who's come in to replace Bruno Fernandes. I'd seen we'd been linked to him. He's put up decent numbers actually this season, especially big shoes to fill there, filling in for Bruno Fernandes, or Bruno Fernandes, excuse me, taking his place. So I'd seen links to him, but I haven't seen much to the guy you mentioned. Yes, Barea and Bastoni, they've been doing the rounds today as well. Look, we know that Liverpool have been rumoured to be interested in Nicola Barea for a long time, and there is an article out today that talks about Liverpool's interest in Bastoni and Barea. I think I have it on my phone. 1 second, get it open. 1 second, folks. Where is it? Yeah, so here it is here. Liverpool have been linked with a move for Internazionale per Alessandro Bastoni and Nicola Barea, both Italian internationals with 4 caps and 21 caps respectively. Bastoni is a 22-year-old centre-back and Barea is a 24-year-old central midfielder. Italian outlet Lego claims that in Italian, the newly crowned Serie A champions Inter are under siege when it comes to rival clubs eyeing up their brightest talents. They explained that with owners Sunning forced to sell one of the most valuable assets for budgetary reasons, many potential suitors have come forward. Liverpool and Chelsea are name-checked as being in the hunt for the aforementioned pair. That was in the Echo earlier on today. So the links to both those guys have been around for a bit, particularly Nicola Barea, and I like him as a footballer. Again, somebody who I would have no issues if Liverpool went in for. And as the article suggests, Inter Milan have felt the pinch as well, as good as they've been this year, and they've won Serie A and won it well. Congratulations to them. They're under a bit of financial strain and may have to move on one of the big players. Now, whether that's Lukaku, whether that's Lautaro Martinez, whether that's Bastoni, whether that's Nicola Barea, we'll have to wait and see. Or Nicola Barea, excuse me. But I do like him, and I hope that there's truth to it, because he's a very tidy footballer and would, I would happily have him at Liverpool. Thoughts on Liverpool fans board? Already spoke about it, Danilo. Literally, I spent 10 minutes, mate, going through everything a few minutes ago. If Liverpool got Tielemans, where would you put him in the team? Right in where GD plays now, in that midfield trio. So you'd have options there with Thiago, Fabinho, Henderson, Tielemans. If you wanted somebody on the front foot more, you'd have Tielemans there. You'd have maybe Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain there. It would give us options, definitely. And look, if we're going to be in the Champions League next season and want to challenge on all fronts, then you need probably two players in every position, and not just two players, two quality players. Thoughts on Naby Keita? Frustration, unfortunately. I don't know how much longer I can personally keep making excuses for Naby, and I'm only talking about my opinion here. I don't want to put words in anybody else's mouth, but for me, I've backed him for a very, very long time, and I think I probably made extra excuses for him. But at the end of the day, if his body can't live with the rigours of Premier League football, then the club are going to have to look at the situation, because you need rhythm in football. You need to be playing games in a row, week in and week out. Get the feel for the league, get the feel for your teammates, get a feel for what's going on in and around you. And, the club took a long time trying to get Naby's body fit and his core built up and ready for the rigours of Premier League. And he's come back in and he wasn't even able to see out the last 8 games or so. He's picked up another couple of knocks. So it's frustration, unfortunately. How much is Lautaro Martinez? I wouldn't have a clue, Callum. I mean, if you're Inter Milan, you're probably happier to lose a midfielder, I would suggest, than the likes of Lautaro Martinez or Romelu Lukaku. I wouldn't have a clue, mate. I mean, you probably see figures over the €100 million mark, but at the end of the day, I don't know what Inter Milan's financial situation really is and how badly they may need to move somebody on. Bring Suarez home. Talked about Minamino, talked about Basuma already. Can I reply, make my day? Of course I could reply. Oompa Loompa. I like that name, mate. Well played. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call that one a night. Tomorrow, we've got a couple of things happening tomorrow. So, what do you guys need to know about? Yeah, so tomorrow, rather than a late night agenda, what we're going to have at 8 o'clock is a live podcast. So, if you're watching this back later on, let me know some of the topics that you'd like to see us speak about tomorrow in the podcast. It'll be myself, Jack Gill and Steve Bland, and we'll be doing it live. So instead of a late night agenda tomorrow, you'll have a live podcast, and you guys, as always, are going to have a say in what topics that we talk about and what's up for discussion. So if you're watching this back later on, let me know in the comment section. As always, please do hit that subscribe button, drop a like on the video. I will see you guys tomorrow. Then on Friday, I'll be live at 8:30 as always with a late night agenda. The team news announcement video, or not the team news announcement, my predicted 11 and score prediction video for the Palace game will be out on Friday as well. Saturday, I'll be taking the day off, and then Sunday, well, you know what Sunday is, don't you? It's D-Day. It's the day where we find out if we're going to be in the Champions League the following season or not. And the good news is around Sunday, Connor's going to be coming up to my house, so he's going to be keeping us up to date with what's going on in the Leicester game. So he'll be mic'd up and ready to go, and I'll be doing a watch along in the Liverpool game. So we'll be able to keep you guys fully up to date with all the permutations and what's happening in and around the last day of the season. So again, thank you for everything. Any comments you want to have, please put them in the section underneath the video. I will chat to you guys tomorrow. Take care, lots of love. Hit that subscribe button